Well, let's take a text question first on the news that we've just been hearing over the last hour. The question is from Robin in Durham, who says, Donald Trump thinks he does, but does Donald Trump really deserve a Nobel Peace Prize? Well, Michael Crick, let's start with you. If he pulls this off, if this peace plan does come to reality and Hamas accept it, I suppose there would be a case.
Well, not really, because Trump has been an appalling supporter of Netanyahu and, frankly, a genocidal Israeli government. I was a great supporter of Israel, and my friends and family berated me for this, but I was a great supporter of Israel until 15 months ago. But they've just totally responded out of proportion in that time, and Trump was the one man in the world who could have stopped Israel and the continued killing of tens of thousands of Gazans, many of whom had nothing to do with Hamas. And so I would think awarding Donald Trump the Peace Prize would be, even worse than when Henry Kissinger was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize 50 years ago.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in total agreement with Michael. I was just reading point 10 of the peace plan, and it's made my stomach churn. It says that a Trump economic development plan will be brought forward. It will contain many thoughtful investment proposals, inciting developments, and essentially it outlines what is economic colonialism packaged up as a peace plan. This isn't going to deliver peace. This is going to deliver yet more subjugation of the Palestinian people along the lines of whatever economic development Trump wants. I think it's a horrifying prospect.
But if he's right, and I emphasise, I don't know whether it's true or not what he says, that all the Arab nations in the region have signed up to this, that would rather undermine your point.
I will wait to see if all the Arab nations of the region confirm that they've signed up to this rather than taking Donald Trump on his word, I'm afraid.
Have all the Arab nations of the region really agreed to have Tony Blair as one of the, and Trump, as to be the big players on this board of peace that will have oversight for this?
All we've got to go on.
He's a really reliable narrator, isn't he?
But all we've got to go on is what he said. So until somebody says anything else.
Yeah. We've just seen a press conference with Netanyahu and Trump. There is nobody else that would be a credible voice of the region who was platformed just then, least of all a Gazan voice, a Palestinian voice. I will withhold any believability that this is carrying a broader community.
Jackie Smith.
Well, the only prize that matters here is the end of the utter devastation of Gaza with the starvation and the killing that has been brought about there. The return of the hostages to Israel and the removal of Hamas from the leadership of Gaza. That's the prize that is at stake here. And that, in terms of the other 19 elements of the agreement that we've seen this evening, if delivered, would begin to take us in that direction. There will need to be some sort of interim administration in order to see that delivered. And people can rehearse their views about Tony Blair as much as they like, but
well, he's your hero, isn't he?
Personally, it won't surprise you to know I don't have a problem with him being part of it. But it's about more than prizes. It's about more than personalities. It's about the end of the devastation that we've seen as a result of this action in Gaza.
Let's take a follow-up call from Khalid in Leicester. Khalid, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I think given that this 21-point plan is being issued by war criminals, and the ICC has issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, doesn't the panel think that this is a ludicrous...
I must have missed this. When did Donald Trump become a war criminal?
Aiding and abetting a war criminal is part of the deal. The thing is, they should face the arrest warrants, taken to The Hague, and tried for their war crimes, rather than this 21.
And how's that going to save? How's that going to save lives in Gaza? Stop babies being killed and get food in there.
Well, what are they doing right now? Do you really think that tens of thousands of innocent people have lost their lives? Who's going? Is there no accountability for all of that, or we just carry on with whatever Netanyahu wants to do? We just carry on with that plan. That is preposterous. He should be. I believe he should be tried, and if he's convicted, he should be faced a death penalty.
Part of this agreement, quite rightly, the IDF would be expected to immediately ceasefire and withdraw their troops from Gaza. So, which I think is right. You know, what the Israelis have been doing in Gaza has been wholly unacceptable. It's immoral, and it needs to stop. And that's the important thing. How do we stop this now? And how do we then build a sustainable future for Gaza and for Israel living peacefully?
There was a motion passed at the conference this afternoon which went against government policy. It said that there is a genocide going on in in Gaza. That's a bit of an embarrassment for the government, isn't it?
Well, this is one of those occasions where, you know, what Labour Party conference says, I think, is probably slightly less important than what's actually happening in the region. What I'll say about the genocide is, you know, I think I've been pretty clear about what I feel about the devastation in Gaza. It's quite reasonable for us as a government to say genocide is something that should not be determined by politicians but by an international court. That's been our long-standing position. Now, and in the end, whether or, you know, how we define it is not the issue here. The issue is, how do we get peace? How do we stop the devastation in Gaza? How do we get the hostages returned to Israel? And how do we develop a stable situation so that both Israel and Palestine can, as we've always argued for, live peacefully together?